This is my other artist I wanted to have a look at. I've mentioned him previously, and obviously we was in this project, we're not supposed to look at people we've looked at before. I didn't get to touch on her on the Sposh when I was at my last place of school, just because it was a lot of the stuff was very taboo, even though it's extremely old and I think quite funny. So I wanted to have another look at his stuff and really use this opportunity to do some research. I think it obviously has transitional themes because he was hired by the church to create what we view now as the image of, like, not only Satan as like a thing, because obviously with the Bible, if you look at anything, it never says what Satan ever looked like, or it ever really described hell as what we think it is, though it says like, oh, eternal damnation and all these different things. Hermanus Bosch was it was a Renaissance-y sort of period, and he was a very ill, sick man who was hired and given lots of money by the church to just put what he thought that meant into artwork, and he used all of that kind of Renaissance-y feel and then made it completely surreal. Like, before anyone else was trying to do it, he made it like horrific in the funniest way possible, and he kind of surpasses a lot of the very newer people in his, though he was doing it for the church. I think that's the funniest thing. He was doing it for the church, yet it is the most kind of blasphemous things you could have ever depicted. And he was, as I said, he was really ill, but the ideas he came up with are genius. Like, as he went through his kind of career of making these kind of images to be shown in churches, he was making like images that were just really grotesque. So he was Dutch, and he made just a lot of kind of oil based things. He didn't really do anything else. Like, he just did what he was good at, and he was really good at what he did. And he's has a very like fantasy, like his way he saw hell is now what we think it is. And I think that's genius, that like the reason we think hell is the way it is from a kind of Christian or Catholic kind of point of view is because of a mentally ill man doing some paintings, and it's genius. And I think a lot of his stuff, I'd love to use anything that he did, and unlike the other artists I've looked at where I pick out specific things, I could pick out 100. He was mental. He just did whatever he wanted to do. His stuff is timeless. You see it everywhere. It's inspired everyone. It's inspired basically most of the early surrealist artists before even surrealism was viewed as a thing and even given a name. He made triptychs, which is like I've looked at before, and is this like taking something that's so kind of traditional and making it so grotesque and horrible, because a lot of the time you think of a triptych and you think of something really beautiful, but they had these really gross sort of like artwork, and he's hilarious. Though obviously for him, he probably wasn't enjoying his time because he was probably gonna like get like these horrible diseases, and he was living at a time that was not great. Looking at it from our perspective is hilarious, because within our like brains we see this stuff, and though it's grotesque, it's funny to us. Like, he was an amazing artist. The fact he used his art in such a strange way is one of my favorite things. He was a genius. But he's probably also an idiot, which makes him even cleverer. That's another artist I want to look at. I just want to take everything he did and try and take that on board in my own artwork. He was so transitional because he transitioned the kind of way we think about kind of a whole religions, and how we view that, and he inspired everyone. Like, anything you could think of within horror, within music, within a lot of, I say those things are things I look at, but he inspired so much, and I'll say it 100 times, but he was genius, and he was an idiot at the same time, which I love. And obviously we don't know a lot about him because it was a yonks ago, but we know that he died in the 15th. He died in 1516, and we know he was Dutch, and from all my research I've done, can't find loads and loads about him, but looking into his actual artwork, I really love it, and I want to take everything he did on board.